From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Major vaccine news on the horizon as the push to get more Americans vaccinated continues. Now at 4:30, the latest on booster shots and when we could see full FDA approval for one COVID vaccine.
Plus, tension at school board meetings are on the rise as districts deal with ever-changing COVID protocols, a diversity initiative, and other hot topics. Coming up, the changes one school district is putting into place in hopes of easing those tensions.
And a big shakeup at the Indianapolis Public Library as the CEO prepares to step down. What employees are saying about that move and who they hope to see lead that organization in the future. First here at 4:30, I want to thank you for joining our team on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Megan Shin. Tal Clausen, it was a warm weekend. What can we expect today?
You know, the heat's just going to continue not only today, but really throughout the entire week as we're kind of getting into a late season heat wave here across central Indiana. Temperatures as we walk out the door this Monday morning are in the 60s and 70s, 74 right now in Indy, 72 in Martinsville, Bloomington at 68 degrees and 72 as you work your way into the Muncie area. A little bit of patchy dense fog here from Muncie over towards the Winchester area, up towards Portland and back towards Hartford City, then a little spotty here. And this is something we'll have to keep an eye on. These numbers, and as far as visibilities, could continue to drop here as we work our way throughout the course of the morning hours. And your satellite radar picture is clear, though. So once the sun does come up, any fog that is out there should burn off very, very quickly here across the area. And as far as storms go, it's still raining there across parts of the northeast from the tropical storm that made landfall yesterday. Some spotty storms here off to our west. I really don't think they get here today. As we progress throughout the week, there will be the opportunity for some spotty storms across parts of central Indiana. But today, quickly through the 70s this morning, 84, 86 degrees as we head into the noon hour, with high temperatures today back up into the low 90s. And today, maybe the coolest day of the work week. We'll talk about your 7-day planning forecast in more detail coming up in just a few minutes. But right now, it's time to get you updated on the roadways. And for that, we go back to Lauren. Good morning.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Here's a live look right now at I-465. This is a view near Kentucky Avenue on the southwest side of town. You can see that traffic there is moving along up to speed both eastbound and westbound. No delays right now out there in your roads. Not monitoring any crashes at this early hour, so that's good news this morning. Megan?
All right, Lauren, thank you. Starting this week, college students across Indiana head back to class. Over the weekend, students at Butler, DePauw, and IUPUI moved onto campus. And this year, several COVID safety protocols are in place. Schools across the state are requiring masks inside of all campus buildings, regardless of vaccination status. And that's in line with the CDC's guidelines. We talked to the president of Butler. He says the school will continue to monitor the situation and adjust COVID safety protocols as needed.
Doing everything we can to be cautious. We're using all of the common sense things that I think we've all learned to live with over, the past year and a half, and we need to do everything we can. We're fortunate at Butler. We've always emphasized this community of care and support for each other. So it doesn't seem like it's been too difficult to get people to kind of support what we're doing and to move forward.
President Danko also said the school's vaccine clinic will remain open to students, faculty, and staff for the time being. Lauren?
Well, a new mask policy takes effect today at Westfield Washington schools. All students, staff, and visitors will be required to wear face coverings inside of any district building. In a message to families last week, the district superintendent said that the change is in line with the CDC guidelines and the best way to keep kids in schools. Neighboring districts, Carmel Clay, Hamilton Southeastern, and Noblesville schools also put mask requirements in place last week. You can find out more about mask and vaccine policies of schools all across the state. Just visit our website, WRTV.com.
Major changes to Carmel Clay's school board meeting take effect today. The district is moving the meeting time from its usual evening slot to 8 o'clock this morning. The school board has also suspended public comments during the meeting. It's unclear how long this suspension will last, and the changes come after several incidents at recent school board meetings. Tensions rose over mask policies, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and other topics. And last month, a man was arrested after a gun fell out of his pocket. If you plan to attend this morning's meeting, here are a few few things to know. Doors open at 7:30. Masks or face shields are required. No signs or banners will be allowed, and all attendees should be prepared to go through metal detectors, Lauren.
Well, the number of COVID cases continues to rise across the state, and that's leading more Hoosiers to be in hospitals. And we expect an update from the state later this morning on those case numbers. The rising numbers caused one local hospital system to put out a plea for help. Community Health Network asks patients who have symptoms that do not require emergency care to avoid going to emergency departments for COVID-19 testing. Community Health says they need to keep staff and services available for patients who need urgent treatment. You can find a testing site by going to the website coronavirus.in.gov. You can also call 211. And we know hospital stays, they're becoming more expensive for COVID patients. Early in the pandemic, many insurance companies covered the cost of going to the hospital with the virus. But according to an analysis by the Kaiser Family Foundation, now that the vaccines are readily available, many patients are on the hook for those copays and deductibles. The vast majority of those in the hospital with COVID-19 right now are not vaccinated.
A major development is expected today, and it could boost efforts to vaccinate more Americans against COVID-19. According to the New York Times, the FDA could give full approval to the Pfizer vaccine as early as today. It comes as the daily case average in the U.S. reaches 137,000 people. That's up 230% in the last month. Doctors say the overwhelming majority of new patients in hospitals are among unvaccinated people. Data shows only 46% of 18 to 24-year-olds are fully vaccinated. The Surgeon General says full approval of the vaccine could mean a boost in numbers.
For businesses and universities that have been thinking about putting vaccine requirements in place in order to create safer spaces for people to work and learn, I think that this move from the FDA, when it comes, will actually help them to move forward with those kind of plans.
Meanwhile, health experts are looking at whether people who receive the Johnson & Johnson vaccine should get a booster shot. Preliminary data shows that the J&J vaccine provides protection against the Delta variant for at least 8 months. Johnson & Johnson is also studying the efficacy of 2 doses.
Developing this morning on the Far East Side, a young girl is recovering after being shot. This happened at an apartment complex near Washington Square Mall on Sunday evening. Metro Police responded to that scene at Bellhaven Drive just after 8 o'clock. Police tell us the girl was shot in the neck and is being treated at Riley Hospital. At last check, she is listed as stable. We're working to find out more about what led up to that shooting.
Also developing this morning, an IMPD officer is recovering at home after being injured while responding to a domestic disturbance call. The incident happened around 2 Sunday morning on Knobstone Way on the city's southeast side. Police say a man was experiencing a mental and emotional crisis as well as suicidal thoughts. Officers were able to calm him down, but while waiting for an ambulance to take the man to the hospital, he lunged at an officer and grabbed the officer's gun. During a struggle for the gun, it discharged, injuring the man and the officer. Both were taken to the hospital and treated for minor injuries, Lauren.
It is 4:38, a big development in the ongoing controversy surrounding management at the Indianapolis Public Library. The CEO, Jackie Natus, announced plans to step down. WRTV has been following this story since employees first complained of a toxic work environment. This situation came to a head when a former employee had a tense exchange with the library board president during a public meeting. That employee called out the racism, sexism, and bigotry that she and other workers have seen or experienced. And then earlier this month, Central Indiana Community Foundation announced it would be withholding funding until employee concerns were addressed. On Friday, the library announced that Natus will step down as CEO at the end of the month. The move is something employees we spoke to say is long overdue.
I think this was the right decision on the part of our CEO. I know it wasn't an easy one. I know it was hard. And to do it in such a public way is very hard. I understand that, but I definitely feel like she made the right decision.
The search for the library's next CEO is underway. Employees tell us they hope the board consults with the library union to find a replacement. We reached out to Jackie Natus and Jose Salinas for comments, but we've not heard back yet. Of course, we'll stay on top of this story and bring you any new updated information just as soon as it comes into our newsroom and online. Megan?
Business is booming for the Hoosier Lottery. Officials say the lottery saw record profits this past year, with ticket sales up 26%. Scratch-off sales fueled the boost, which made up 80% of the lottery's $1.74 billion in revenue over the past fiscal year. Officials say the increase in revenue will send a record $375 million in profits to the state. About $60 million will go toward pension funds for teachers, police officers, and firefighters.
And if you're feeling lucky today, America's jackpot game is getting bigger and better. You now have 3 chances a week to win big in the Powerball drawing. Starting today, there will be weekly drawings Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And to give you even more chances to win, Powerball is introducing a new game. It's called Double Play. Ticket holders will have a chance to match their numbers to the Double Play drawing. That has a top cash prize of $10 million.
Devastation across Middle Tennessee following historic weekend flooding. While we're learning about the search and rescue operations as residents continue to pick up the pieces.
And Henri has been downgraded to a tropical storm, leaving thousands without power, and they're not out of the woods yet. Up next, the new threat to the slow-moving storm, what it's bringing as it churns over the northeast. Todd?
And here in central Indiana, we're dealing with a little bit of patchy fog here this morning that's starting to develop. It's not super widespread yet, but it's something we'll keep an eye on. But once we get past the fog this morning, our attention, it turns to the heat wave that's going to be in place for much of this week. We'll break it all down for you coming up in your WRTV Storm Team Forecast.
It is 4:44 this morning. Millions are feeling the fury of Henri as it churns over the northeast.
The storm made landfall Sunday afternoon, hitting Rhode Island. Thousands are still without power now, and millions are facing the threat of flash flooding as the storm moves inland. ABC's Andrew Dimber joins us now with the latest.
This morning, what's left of Henri is moving inland, where the storm could unleash its worst damage yet. The storm slowing down significantly, its rain bands sprawling over 9 states, putting 40 million people under a flash flood watch.
Upper level winds will eventually push Henri toward the east, back toward the east, where it kind of came from. And so some of that rain will be pushing back toward New York City, Connecticut, where it has been raining already for the last 24 to 36 hours.
On Sunday, Henri becoming the first tropical storm to make landfall in New England in 15 years, slamming the coast of Rhode Island with wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour. This tree nearly hitting 2 homes.
He told me that it fell down, and I said, no, sir. I thought he was lying. So when I came out here, I couldn't believe it, that it didn't hit anything.
In Narragansett, Rhode Island, cameras captured the wind knocking over this man.
I tried to take cover behind there just to get some photos, and Gus must have just taken me out.
At the height of the storm, more than 100,000 power outages were reported across the Northeast, where waves up to 19 feet slammed the coast. Farther south, some areas of central New Jersey were inundated with 8 inches of rain. In Princeton Junction, this boat floated away from the owner's property and ended up going over a dam. And in Helmetta, New Jersey, about 150 people had to be rescued by boat as floodwaters consumed their homes.
My backyard actually turned into a lake. It was a normal backyard, but as you can see, you could probably put your kayak in here and kayak through it.
Andrew Dimber, ABC News, New York.
Tremendous loss of life, a number of missing people on the ground, homes washed off their foundations, cars strewn around the community. It is a devastating picture.
Well, in Tennessee, people living in Humphreys County are trying to pick up the pieces after catastrophic flash flooding swept through that area. That's about 60 miles west of Nashville. At least 22 people here have been confirmed dead following Saturday's storms. Another 60 are still missing. Among the bodies recovered were those of 2 toddlers who were swept away from their father in the rushing water. The devastation is some of the worst that area has seen in decades.
We've experienced devastating loss of life over the last couple of days. We've lost more people in this event than we did in the train explosion in 1978. But we've seen the community come together.
You know, they just went and got one of my best friends. It's recovered him when he drowned in this, and it's sitting here thinking about that. Yeah, it's tough, but we're gonna move forward.
Officials say the complete impact of the flooding will not be known for a few days.
The Paralympic Games get underway in Tokyo tomorrow. The Games will feature 4,400 athletes from 160 countries and territories. Fans were not allowed in the stadiums during the Olympic Games due to the ongoing pandemic, but organizers for the Paralympics want to allow tens of thousands of school children to attend the event. This decision comes despite an increase of COVID-19 cases in Tokyo. Organizers say the number of students would range from 130 to 140,000, many of whom are too young to qualify to be vaccinated for the coronavirus vaccine because of their age. And time now is 4:48 on your Monday morning. How are things looking closer to home, Todd?
You know, it's pretty quiet here in central Indiana this morning. There's a little bit of patchy fog starting to develop across parts of the area, especially here as you work your way off to the east, Newcastle to Muncie, and then into the Winchester area up towards Portland as well. And that's really just about it. Then there's a little pocket here through portions of Boone County up in the Lebanon area, but it's not super widespread so far yet here this morning, but we'll keep an eye on it. Fog still has another couple hours or so to kind of settle into the area before the sun comes up, and then eventually that'll burn off very, very quickly. If you're seeing the fog at all this morning, you notice visibility here in downtown Indianapolis, and not an issue for you whatsoever. The temperature this morning in the city really, really warm as you walk out the door. We're sitting at 74 degrees right now. There's a humidity, it's up there, and just a light wind. Today is going to be a hot day for us across the area with not much in the way of wind, so there's not really going to be wind to mix up the air a whole lot to give you a little bit of relief. And we're all starting in the 60s and 70s here this morning, no matter where you are, and the sun will be with us right away here this morning, so it turns into a very hot day for us. The humidity is up there as well. You notice this little broken line of showers and storms off to our west, and that will not get here today. So today I think is probably one of the only days that we won't have some pop-up storms in the forecast in the afternoon hours, but nonetheless, the heat, even if we did have the storms in the forecast, is what we'll focus on for the day today. Quickly, here is still some rain in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York from the tropical storm that made landfall that we just talked about across parts of the Northeast. But here's your temperature trend hour by hour. Notice the noon hour already 84, 85 degrees, going into the low 90s for your high temperature later on this evening with nothing but sunshine out there. And when you factor in the humidity that's going to be around, your heat index values are going to be in the mid 90s for much of the afternoon hours, and then slowly obviously cooling off as the sun starts to set. So the humidity is up today. It's not super oppressive, but it's enough that you'll notice, combined with the temperatures where they are, that we're going to be running into some of these issues. TrueCast shows just some fair weather clouds here throughout the course of the afternoon hours, and that is just about it. In fact, if we got a little bit of cloud cover in here this afternoon, it would actually be a little beneficial to keep the temperatures down just a little bit. But in the 80s, even past sunset tonight, sunset right at 8:30 this evening, and then for the day tomorrow, it's actually even a little bit warmer. High temperatures into the low to mid 90s with partly cloudy skies. And then as we work our way into Wednesday, that's probably when the heat peaks at 94. And then as we work our way into Thursday and Friday and Saturday, still right around 90 degrees before we finally get back into the 80s on Sunday. But this is a very warm stretch and prolonged stretch of temperatures in the 90s with some humidity around that we'll be dealing with here at the end of August. Lauren.
Todd, thank you. Let's take a look right now at your commute. This is up on the north side of town at I-465 and US 31 Meridian Street, where traffic is very quiet, as you can see. No crashes out there to slow down your commute. Of course, we'll keep you updated throughout the morning.
Lauren, thanks. Coming up at 5, an increase in pet adoptions is putting a strain on vet clinics. How they're working to handle the increase in patients and what they want pet owners to know. Stay with us for that story and much more on the other side of this break.
Well, here is something to tempt your taste buds as this new week begins. Megan, Devour Indy starts today.
Bring on the yummy food. The popular event features more than 100 local restaurants offering specially priced menu items. Reservations are not required, but they are highly recommended. Devour Indy supports the Indy Hospitality Relief Fund. That fund has provided $500 grants to more than 400 struggling hospitality workers in Indiana since April of 2020. For a list of participating restaurants and to learn more about Devour Indy, click on this story at WRTV.com. Devour Indy runs through Sunday, September 5th. Todd, get ready to have some good food.
I know, right? I'll have to start making my list right here later on after Good Morning Indiana. All right, here's your 7-day planning forecast, and it is a warm one. You notice all the 90s there, as we'll be dealing with 90-degree temperatures or warmer all the way through Saturday. With the heat will come some humidity and also the chance of storms. The storms, though, kind of kick in at least a little better chance midweek on today. I don't think there's much of a chance of a storm with a high of 92 degrees. We'll talk more about the heat, the humidity, and this forecast for you in more detail coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.